afternoon and welcome back to the Law and Crime Trial Network. I'm Anne-Marie Haggerty. Glad to have you with us this afternoon. We are waiting for the jury to return right now from their lunch break in New Mexico for Alec Baldwin's involuntary manslaughter trial. The 66-year-old actor and producer is charged in the 2021 movie set shooting of Helena Hutchins. Baldwin was the lead actor and one of the producers of the Western film Rust. However, prosecutors are barred from bringing evidence of producer liability against him in this trial. Right now, we are catching up from testimony from just before the lunch break and want to take you to listen to Officer Nicholas LaFleur undergoing more cross-examination. Take a listen.
And then you went on to say, well, you didn't put him in the cruiser. You didn't put him in the cruiser because your cruiser was being used. Was I guess the reason that you gave? Was that? Did I understand that right?
My patrol unit was being actively used as a post on the other side of the field for a crime scene.
When you say a post, you mean like it goes somewhere else and you put the tape around it? Is that?
The side mirror was wrapped around with crime scene.
Mr. Baldwin in at any point, right?
Yep.
Okay. And in fact, Mr. Baldwin later on drives himself to the precinct and goes and speaks to the police, right?
I'm not too sure how he got there, but he did get there.
Well, he wasn't under arrest, right?
Not to my knowledge, no.
And so you use this word detained. When Ms. Morrissey asked you, well, were you detaining Mr. Baldwin? Do you remember that question?
Yes.
Isn't it true that even today, years later, no police officer has ever arrested Mr. Baldwin or detained him in a police car? True?
I don't know.
The police department, the Santa Fe Police Department, has never arrested Mr. Baldwin.
Not the Santa Fe Police Department.
Question asked and answered.
And one of the things that you do as an officer on the scene is you observe demeanor, right?
Yes.
And you spent 10 hours on the scene, I think I heard you say, right?
Yes.
You got to see the people of Rust that day live, right?
Yes.
And the truth of the matter is that you took it as a way how everybody was acting and that the individual who claimed to have been holding the firearm was still there, that there was no, the way he was, his demeanor was that there wasn't any intention behind the act, as you could say. Isn't that true?
I wouldn't say there was no intention. I don't know the individual's intentions, but his demeanor was sad, upset.
Okay, well, it's not just his demeanor being sad and upset, right? Okay, we'll move that to the side. And I understand you're not a mind reader, right? Correct?
Yes.
Okay. All you can do is look at the people and look at how they're interacting and make your own judgments, right?
Yes.
Okay, and you do that as a police officer to try to figure out how to interact with a scene. True?
Yes.
Okay, and isn't it true that the way you took it, how everybody was acting and that the individual who claimed to have been holding the firearm was still there, that there was the way he was, his demeanor was that there wasn't any intention behind the act, as you could say. Isn't that true?
Again, the wording you're using, I wouldn't say I had any clue of whose intention was what, but he was sad and upset.
Okay, well, let's play. I'm going to play his statement to that effect. Can we cue that up, please, if that's okay with the court? He's saying he didn't say that he did. I'm going to impeach him.
I don't think he said he didn't.
Well, you want me to clarify that?
Yeah.
Okay. Are you claiming that you didn't say that?
Rephrase what you said?
Sure. Dispatch said it was an accidental shooting by a prop gun. So I didn't know if there was any. I took it as the way how everybody was acting and that the individual who claimed to have been holding the firearm was still there, that there was the way he was, his demeanor was that there wasn't any intention behind the act, as you could say, you know.
Again, I wouldn't say I knew what his intention was.
I understand that. What I'm asking you now, okay, is did you in fact say those words that I just asked you?
At what time? The Gutierrez or PTI?
Yes.
I may have.
Okay, you don't deny saying that?
Here, let's
No.
approach if we can.
Sure. So one more time, I'm just going to ask you, did you say that statement that I read?
If you're reading the statement and it says my name next to it, then I more than likely said it. I just don't recall when.
And one of the other things that happened that day that I don't think we've talked about is you spoke to a witness who told you that a woman named Sarah was crying and shaking and going through the bullets and saying, I don't know how it got in there.
Objection, hearsay.
I'm asking the witness if he had that information.
He's making the statement, the hearsay statement is coming in.
Do you know whether anybody at the scene was, before you got there, shaking and going through the bullets and saying, I don't know how it got in there?
I don't know.
Okay. If we could refresh the witness with his lapel, and I would ask that can I put it up on just his screen? Okay.
I don't think you can do that.
I would object because that's not proper refreshment. We don't refresh in front of the jurors. That's my objection.
What do you mean?
Well, if we're refreshing,
You know what? We're going to take a lunch break real quick, and we're going to be back at 1 o'clock, okay? Please don't talk among yourselves.
All rise for the jury.
Contentious tone on much of the questioning in that cross-examination from the defense. That is again of witness officer Nicholas LaFleur. He was on the scene of the Rust movie set after the accident happened, and the testimony came before the lunch break for the jury. We anticipate the jurors to be back in that courtroom any minute now, and we want to get you back in the courtroom shortly, so keep it right here at Law and Crime while we take this quick break. Be right back with you.
into evidence, which is the 911 dispatch.
Okay, is your witness going to recognize it? Or is it by stipulation? It's by stipulation. Okay.
That's what we agreed.
All right.
Okay, and if we could just, so that the jury can see, page 6, if we could just publish it to the jury.
Yes. States. But defendant's 8? Is that 8? Defendant's 8 is admitted. You may publish.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Just to, well, real quick, we were using numbers. We assumed you guys were using letters for exhibits. We filed.
Oh, 8.
It's
8.
DX.
Okay.
Okay,
Understood.
understood. Thank you.
Numbers too?
Yeah, defense 8.
Are you doing numbers?
Yes, we filed our exhibit list first as.
Okay, so you do letters.
So I, okay.
It's DX8. It's DX. Yes.
Okay, and is this page, I can't see the page at the bottom, is this page 6?
Yes.
Okay. And do you see how it says accident, accident, accident? I can touch it? Oh, accident.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And then I would ask, the 911 is exhibits 9 and 10, which is now I and J. Exhibits 9 and 10 that was entered into and played at opening by stipulation, and I'd asked to play and enter them and play exhibits I and J.
I and J, which are, again, the 911 calls?
Yes.
Why are they 2
It
exhibits?
just splits because of the EMS. It's the same
Okay.
three.
All right. So upon stipulation, not being corrected otherwise, go ahead.
Thank you. Okay, if we turn the volume up.
You may publish.
This is 911, what's the location of your emergency? We need an ambulance out at Bonanza Creek Ranch right now. We've had 2 people shot on a movie set accidentally. You said someone was shot? 2 people accidentally with gunshots at on movie set, Bonanza Creek Ranch.
Okay, give me 1 second. I'll connect you with medical dispatch. Don't hang up. Santa Fe Fire and EMS, what's the location of the emergency?
Bonanza Creek Ranch has had 2 people accidentally shot on a movie set by a prop gun. We need help immediately, okay? This fucking AG that yelled at me at lunch because asking about revisions, this motherfucker. Did you see him lean over my table and yell at me? He's supposed to check the guns. He's responsible for what happened.
Now, Mimi?
No. I'm a script supervisor.
How many people are injured?
2 that I know of. I was sitting, we were rehearsing, and it went off, and I ran out.
You heard some language, and then that he, the first assistant, was supposed to check the gun. Did you hear that?
Yes.
Okay. Did you hear anybody on the 911 call mention Alec Baldwin at all?
No.
I asked you before we broke about a prior statement. I asked you if you made a prior statement that we talked about a few times, so I'm just going to approach quickly and refresh your recollection. And this is November 30th, 2023, your pretrial interview, Officer LaFleur, and I'm just going to ask you to read down here.
Your Honor, and again, Mr. Spiro is testifying as he's handing it to the witness.
Just identify what the document is and then move away.
Does that refresh your recollection, sir?
Yes.
So and I'm just going to take this back. It is fair that you said when asked that it came in as like it appeared to be, and what the dispatch said, it was an accidental shooting by a prop gun. So I didn't know if there was any. I took it as the way how everybody was acting, and that the individual who claimed to have been holding the firearm was still there. That there was
Objection, Your Honor.
the way he was.
Objection, Your Honor.
Was an accidental shooting by a prop gun. So I didn't know if there was any. I took it as the way how everybody was acting, and that the individual who claimed to have been holding the firearm was still there. That there was the way he was, his demeanor was that there wasn't any intention behind the act, as you could say,
Yes.
You made that statement, correct?
Yes.
And I asked you also whether you remembered receiving any information as to the ammunition, whether they be prop or otherwise, that was at the scene. If you recalled Duran Curtin, one of the individuals in the church, giving you information. Do you remember that?
There's a lot of people in the church giving information. Can you identify which one it was?
Sure. I asked you, do you remember whether or not somebody told you that Sarah was shaking and going through the book?
Objection, Your Honor. This is hearsay. This is hearsay coming in. Can we approach? I don't know what to do.
As I was saying, officer, did you learn at the scene whether or not Sarah was going through the bullets and saying, I don't know how it got there? Did you learn that information? Do you recall?
I don't remember. If you could refresh my memory to which part, which
Sure.
person said what.
Sure. And I'm just going to approach the witness and show him his lapel recording.
Okay.
Does that refresh your recollection?
It appears it's a recording type out of what my body-worn camera recorded, yes.
Okay. And when you learned this information, did you do anything with that information?
To be honest, it's the first time I've heard it in that detail. Body cameras pick up more audio than our ears do.
Okay. You also testified that the gentleman in the orange jacket came up to you and said, Alec pulled the trigger, or words to that effect. Remember that testimony?
That's what he said, yes.
Yeah, and you know that witness has stated absolutely he did not say he pulled the trigger, correct?
At that point, I didn't know if he said that or not.
Okay. And then I just want to ask you about one other thing we talked about this morning. Was I asked you about your testimony on direct that Mr. Baldwin was effectively disobeying police orders. Do you remember that testimony on direct?
Yes.
And over the lunch break, have you had a chance to reflect on that testimony?
Sure.
Okay. Do you think it's a fair, honestly, sir, a fair characterization to this jury to say that Mr. Baldwin was disobeying police orders at the scene?
He was given an order, but I didn't repeatedly tell him not to. I was on my bad.
And so don't you think that given what actually happened at the scene, that really, in all fairness to Mr. Baldwin, he wasn't really disobeying police orders, was he, sir?
To an extent, yes.
You were the first officer on scene.
Yes.
And you did your best, no question, right?
Yes.
And you're aware, right, because a lot of this testimony I'm not going to get into, you're aware as you sit here that the issue of Ms. Hutchins passing is not a contested issue by the defense. You know that?
Yes.
Okay. And you did sort of corral the witnesses, I think you said, right?
Yes.
And then after you did that, you turned them over, in essence, to the lead detective, Detective Cano.
Yes.
Okay. And he interviewed those witnesses, right?
Yes.
Okay. And do you know if he's testifying for this state in this case?
Objection.
I don't know.
Relevance, Your Honor.
You want to move on or withdraw?
Sure.
Ignore the question and the non-answer, or if we got one.
Do you know how the live bullet got on set?
I do not.
Do you know why the armorer loaded the live bullet into the pop gun?
I do not.
Do you know why the first assistant director, head of safety?
Cross-exam.
Can I use the Elmo, please? You know what? Let me do this. Where is the defense exhibit DX?
That's H, you mean. This is H, yes.
Okay.
I just have to revisit them.
Okay.
Webster Store.
30 chairs, non-squeak.
Webster Store.
15 non-wobbly.
Webster Store.
Lights.
Webster Store.
Where are we going to find all this stuff?
I already ordered it.
Huh? All of it?
Webster Store for whatever your restaurant needs.
These are really good quality glasses. They are just...
Did I speak with you this morning about the testimony you were going to give?
No, ma'am.
Did Ms. Johnson speak to you this morning about the testimony you were going to give?
No, ma'am.
When was the last time someone from the prosecution spoke to you about the testimony you were going to give today?
I don't believe we've talked about the testimony I was going to give, but just about the pre-trial interview.
So you mentioned a pretrial interview. So let me ask you, do you recall when your pretrial interview was? Would it refresh your memory if I showed you a copy of the transcript?
Yes.
May I? Let me know. Officer, when was your pretrial interview?
In May.
And do you recall who was there?
Somebody from the defense and somebody from the state.
Someone from the defense?
Yeah. It was a female.
Okay, so just to be clear, at your pretrial interview, it wasn't the state just speaking to you. The defense attorneys were there also, right?
Yes.
And they got to ask you almost all the questions, isn't that right?
Yes, if I can recall, the state didn't have anything to ask.
So the prosecutors didn't ask you a single question?
Not that I can remember, no.
Do you agree with the defense attorney's assertion this morning that somehow you were coached to give your testimony?
I would object to that characterization, but you can answer.
Can you rephrase that question?
He's objecting to the word assertion, I believe, so why don't you rephrase it?
Did Mr. Spyro indicate to you on cross-examination did he attempt to imply that the prosecution had told you how to testify?
Essentially, it sounded like he asked if I was coached in my testimony.
But the prosecutors haven't actually told you what to testify to, have they?
No, ma'am.
You were asked several questions on cross-examination about the statement that you made that it didn't seem like Mr. Baldwin intended to commit the act. Do you recall those questions?
Yes.
Do you know what the crime that Mr. Baldwin is charged with?
I believe involuntary manslaughter.
Is involuntary manslaughter an intentional homicide?
No, ma'am. Not to my recollection of the New Mexico State statute.
Are there criminal offenses that are intentional homicides?
Yes.
But that's not what Mr. Baldwin's charged with, right?
No.
Officer LaFleur, when you are speaking to a witness, when you were in fact speaking to witnesses at the scene, you collected their driver's licenses, didn't you?
Yes.
And what do you do when you collect the driver's license? Do you run it through a system?
I put it in our computer system, run it by driver's license in the state. It's easier than name and date of birth.
Is Defendant's Exhibit H, does that contain information about their driver's licenses?
Yes. It appeared that it was a page that showed each person's license being inputted and the return that came back from RACC or NCIC.
So I'm going to go ahead and show you what is page 3 of that. What do we call it? Is it a CAD report?
Yes.
So let me back up for a moment. What does CAD stand for? Do you remember?
I don't know the exact exactly what it stands for, no, but it's a reporting system that we use. The dispatches us through. And
so this is this a dispatch log?
Yes.
I don't know. Yeah, thank you. Sorry, I know that's getting smaller and smaller, but I'm not sure what to do.
Do you want to help me out?
Do you see, no, it's not quite there yet. At the top of the page, do you see number 16? And there's a 16 and then there's a parentheses.
Yes.
What does it say?
Posted speed limit and actual.
What does posted speed limit and actual have to do with this incident?
I'm not too sure. It looks like the individual who ran it, their name, I don't know who that is.
Well, that's okay. Does this have anything to do with the incident involving Ms. Hutchins?
No.
So I want to take you down here to number 5, parentheses. What does that say?
It says non-commercial class, code D.
What is that person talking about? Does it have anything to do with the shooting of Ms. Hutchins?
No, that's the return. It came back for a driver's license, it appears.
That's the return that came back for a driver's license? Is that what you said?
That's what it appears like, yes.
Let's go down to number 10. Do you see that?
Yes.
What does that say?
Accident quantity.
Keep reading.
3, withdrawal. It looks like it's going to try to say withdrawal.
Does that have anything to do with this incident?
No.
And Luke, I want you to look down here at number 21. Do you see that?
Yes.
What does that say?
Of alcohol or drugs.
That you're aware of? Does that have anything to do with this incident?
No.
Let's jump down to number 26. 6. What does that say?
Objection, relevance, cumulative.
Go ahead, sir.
Says drinking and driving at .0.
Did you read it all?
Yeah, per se, I think that's what it's saying at the beginning. Dash drinking and driving at .0. I think the next line is the blood alcohol content, BAC.
Were you dispatched to a DWI? Let's have a look at page 5. Do you see up here number 23?
23 is cut off on my screen.
Oops.
Yeah. Of alcohol or drugs.
Was this an incident that was related to alcohol or drugs?
Not that I'm aware of.
Let's jump down here, if you would, to number 10. Do you see that?
It says accidental quantity 0 and then withdrawal.
Does that have anything to do with this incident?
No.
Why are we seeing that language?
It's what the NCIC return gives our CAD. As you can see, it's all within the same 1/10 of a second. So it's generated by the computer system itself.
So I've now turned the page to page 6. Do you see 10 there where it says 10 parentheses?
Accidental quantity 0 withdrawal.
Is the word accident reflective of Ms. Hutchins being shot on accident?
No.
Is the word accident in that report? Does it appear anywhere where it's talking about what happened to Ms. Hutchins?
No, right here it's just a bunch of returns.
Thank you for your time, sir. I don't have anything further.
All right, thank you. This witness is excused. Next witness.
The state calls. I'm sorry. Were you?
We would now move to page 14 of that exhibit.
Come in. Come over here.
Your Honor, the state calls Timoteo Benavides.
Mr. Judge, raise your right hand, please.
Do you swear affirm under penalty of law?
Sorry, Major.
Sorry.
What's going on?
Do you swear affirm under penalty of law that the testimony you'll give in this case will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? All right, have a seat talking to the microphone.
May I proceed? Good afternoon, Mr. Benavides. Would you please introduce yourself to the members of the jury?
Yes, my name's Timoteo Benavides.
And sir, on October 21st, 2021, how were you employed?
I was employed by the Santa Fe County Sheriff's Office as a lieutenant.
And are you still employed with the Santa Fe County Sheriff's Department?
I am not.
And why not?
I retired doing 20 years of law enforcement for Santa Fe County.
And what was your rank when you retired?
Lieutenant.
And on October 21st, 2021, were you working?
Yes, I was.
And what were your duties that day?
That day I was day shift commander, which entails taking care of Santa Fe County during the day and 7 deputies we had.
How large is Santa Fe County?
It's pretty big. It goes from the city limits of Espanola to all the way to I-40 down in Edgewood and to Pecos and then to the off-ramp to Cochiti.
You said you were commander that day. What does that mean? What duties did that entail?
I'm pretty much in charge of the county on what happens and responsible for the deputies that are working.
On that date at approximately 1:48, did you receive a dispatch to a call?
Yes, I did.
And what was that call for service about?
The call of service was on a movie set for an accidental shooting.
Okay. And where was that located?
It was located at the Bonanza Creek Movie Ranch.
Okay. And is that in Santa Fe County?
It is in Santa Fe County.
Okay. In New Mexico?
In the state of New Mexico, yes.
Okay. And do you recall approximately what time you arrived?
I was dispatched about 1:50. I didn't arrive till almost I think it was like 2:20.
Okay. Why did it take you a while to arrive?
I was pretty much on the other side of the county when the dispatch call came in.
Now, when you arrived, do you recall what you observed?
When I arrived, there was a security guard at the gate, and he told us that he was gonna drive us into the movie set where the incident happened.
Were other deputies already there when you arrived?
Deputy LaFleur was already on scene from what I heard over the radio, and I had at the time Corporal Darrete was in front of me, literally in front of me when we got there.
Were there other first responders present when you arrived on scene?
Yes, there was. There was already medics on scene when I arrived.
Were you wearing your police uniform?
I was in full uniform, displaying my badge of office at the time.
And were you equipped with a lapel camera?
Yes, I was.
Are you familiar, or were you familiar with how your lapel camera works?
Yes.
And how does it work?
As soon as I activated my lights and sirens, my lapel goes off right away, and it starts recording from as soon as I activated my lights and sirens.
And how long does your lapel camera record?
It records until I stop it, or until it runs out of battery.
And how does your video that's captured on your lapel camera uploaded? How is it preserved? Do you know?
Yes, at the time it's uploaded, we, as deputies, we don't have no control how it's, we show up to the sheriff's office and it downloads automatically from our, I take off my lapel, I put it in a docking station in my unit, and everything downloads into the sheriff's office room servers.
Okay. On October 21st, 2021, did your lapel camera capture what you observed when you arrived on scene at the Bonanza Creek Ranch?
Yes, it did.
Okay. And what did you do with your lapel camera after you left the scene?
When I completed my duties on that scene, I put it in my docking station, which is also a charger, and I proceeded to the sheriff's office so it could download.
Now, have you viewed your lapel camera video since October 21st, 2021?
Yes, I have.
Okay. And in fact, did you view a portion of it this morning before you testified?
Yes, I did.
Okay. And did I show you State's Exhibit number 5 earlier this morning?
Yes, you did.
And what was that?
It was pretty much the beginning from when I activated my lights and sirens to the end.
What was it, the entire thing to the end, or was it part of it?
It was part of it. It was not the entire thing because I did stop it several times to talk to commanders and deputies, and then I reactivated it.
And how long is your entire lapel camera video?
I arrived on scene about 2:20, and I didn't leave till almost 8:30 that night.
So State's Exhibit 1 is just a portion of your lapel camera?
That is correct.
Excuse me, video?
Yes.
Okay. After you viewed it, did you notice if it's been modified or changed in any way?
It has not.
Okay. Your Honor, I would move into evidence State's Exhibit number 5.
No objection, Your Honor.
Stage 5 is admitted and made public.
Thank you.
Sorry, Major. So what's going on? They said that they...
Let me pause it there. Is that your lapel camera video, Mr. Benavides?
Yes, it is.
Okay. I'm going to forward it. How long does it take you to drive? How long are we going to watch you driving?
It's about 20 minutes.
Okay. So I'm going to fast forward a little bit here to about 17 minutes, or excuse me, 15 minutes.
Gonna be en route to Bonanza Creek.
Hey, I got one shot in the chest. One shot in the chest, and one shot in the chest, and another shot in the stomach. So you have 2 victims up there? 2 victims.
Are you still driving?
I am still driving, yes.
Now, I've fast forwarded to 15 minutes and 59 seconds. Have you arrived on scene yet?
Yes, I could see the makeshift church right in front of me.
We're going to secure the film and all the crew members.
Why did you say you were going to secure the film and all the crew members?
Pretty much common sense. I'm not on scene yet, but I'm trying to picture everything that was going on, and maybe the film caught it. I don't know.
Can you describe for the members of the jury, when you're pulling up to this church, what does it look like? How many people are you actually seeing?
So this scene was probably the biggest scene I've been to. There was people everywhere. I had medics running in and out. From what I saw from the back of the church, there was medics going to their vehicles, grabbing items, and there was just people everywhere. As in people, I mean, I couldn't distinguish who it was. It was actors, it was film personnel, bystander. I didn't know, but there was a lot of people there.
Do you know if some of those, if those people were people who worked on the set?
Yes, you could distinguish them. They had a lot of sunblock on, a lot of hats, big hats for the sun. So that's pretty much how I noticed that.
Okay. Cool. Thanks. I have like 200 people out here, so.
Alrighty, I'll see if.
Yes, I already called for them. All right.
What's happening at this, excuse me, at this point?
So as soon as I walked into the makeshift church, Deputy LaFleur started to let me know what was happening and what was going on with the victims.
How would you describe this scene as soon as you walked into the church?
The medics were doing a wonderful job. They had separated each other and they were working on the victims.
How many victims did you have?
I saw 2 on the ground.
Okay.
Corporal, I need you to know who's in charge. Everybody stops what they're doing right now. This is a crime scene.
Yeah. Why did you say this was a crime scene?
Because we had 2 victims, Helena and Joel, fighting for their life on the ground. And it wasn't natural. This is a movie set. And it was now a crime scene. We had to figure out what happened.
So what directives are you giving the other deputies?
So I'm letting them know I let Corporal Aldaleta know to have whoever's in charge, have everybody stop what they're doing because there was no more filming. If they were, I did not know. And so we could try to control what we could.
Whoever's in charge of the...
Electric back, can I pull these guys down, get them the hell with a helicopter?
Yes, please. 1, 2, 3.
Did you ask for anything else when you were out there speaking with those people?
Yes, I asked who was in charge to help me out, and then I asked Corporal Aldaleta to start taking pictures.
Did you ask for anything else?
Not that I recall.
Hey, I need pictures right away. Where's the props guy?
Why did you ask for pictures?
I have my lapel on, which captures a lot, but the pictures would capture detailed that's on the floor that you can't really tell from my lapel.
And you just said that you asked for the props guy. Why did you ask for the props guy?
I work security for in the sheriff's office at movie sets. The props guy is the guy that does the little stuff with sound effects or whatever. But I asked for the props guy because I needed to find out where the gun was.
Why was it important to find out where the gun was?
Because I didn't need the gun going off or getting used again on somebody else.
Okay. And did you find the gun?
I had somebody, yes, I did find the gun.
Okay. Where did you find the gun?
Hannah Gutierrez had the gun walking out of the movie set.
And who did you understand Hannah Gutierrez to be?
She was the armorer.
Kropskaya!
Yeah, I'm sorry, no, you have a job? We need to make sure that they...
Yes, they're taking care of business.
Yes.
What else do you need there, Chief?
Where's my radio? It's just here. Here, thank you.
They already cleared the gun.
Where is it?
You got the cleared gun? I'm already going. It's on track.
Where is it?
Where are you going at this point?
I'm being directed by a gentleman, I assume who is a person in charge, to look for the gun.
And did you find it?
I did not find it there.
There's one there and there's one there. That's none of them? That's not. Okay. I need to know where it is.
What is it that you are pointing at with this gentleman here?
There was guns laid in the open on the cart, on this gray cart.
I'm going to show you what's been marked as States Exhibits number 7 and number 8. May I approach, Your Honor?
No objection, Your Honor. No objection.
Yes, Your Honor. I would move into evidence 7 and 8, but I'll publish it in a second. I'm going to finish the video. Okay. Thank you, Your Honor. Where are you going now?
Trying to look for the armor.
You're in charge, ma'am? I need to know where the gun's at right now.
Bro, Armor, I need to know where the guns are at. Right there. No idea, right there.
How do I know this is a gun?
That's the gun.
Okay. Come with me.
Who is that?
That is Hannah Gutierrez.
And who is she?
She's the armor on set.
And did you obtain anything from her?
Yes, I did. I obtained a revolver she was carrying.
And what did you understand that revolver to be?
To be the revolver that shot the projectile into these two victims.
May I have a minute, Your Honor, to bring up Exhibit 6? All right. State's Exhibit 6 is going to be handed to you, Mr. Benavides. If you could put on some gloves and just open it and let us know if you recognize what's in State's Exhibit 6.
Counsel?
Yes, sir.
I have a question. one of the witnesses that cannot see the time.
Sure you would. Hey, Brian. Can you come here for a second, please? Ms. Johnson, make note of where you ended.
We need to fix this. The audio is not in sync with the video, and we need the time to show.
Correct me if I'm misstating, the video does not have the time of day on it, so they're going to elicit that from the witness, okay?
All right, let's go back, Mr. Benavides, if we could. Do you recall approximately what time it was when you actually arrived on scene?
It was 2:20, 2:30.
Do you have a specific recollection of the time or not?
I do not.
Would reviewing the CAD refresh your memory?
Yes, it would.
May I approach, Your Honor? I'm going to show you what's been marked as defendants and admitted DX8T.
For the record, I think it's now H.
Do you recognize that?
Yes, it's a dispatch log.
Well, if you could review it and let us know if your memory is refreshed after you review it, and I'll take that document back from you.
Yes.
Your memory is refreshed?
Yes.
All right, if I can take that one. What time did you arrive on scene?
2:20.
All right, and would your lapel camera video be at 2:20, start like at 2:20 when you arrive on scene?
It started when I first activated my lights and sirens, so when I was dispatched at 1:49.
Right, but when you arrive on scene, would it be 2:20 in the afternoon?
Yes, it would be.
Okay, so even though we can't see the actual time on your lapel cam, is this your lapel cam?
Yes, it is.
And would this accurately reflect what you are seeing around 2:20 or so in the afternoon?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
How do I know this is a gun? That's the gun. Okay.
And so you had testified earlier that this woman with the multicolored hair was the armorer, and she gave you the gun.
Yes.
If you could look at State's Exhibit 6 and I'll ask you if you recognize what's in the box.
Okay.
Do you recognize State's Exhibit 6?
Yes, I do.
What is it?
It is the gun that Hannah Gutierrez, the armorer, handed to me.
Now, what did you do with this gun once she handed it to you?
I took custody of it from her, and I walked it over to the passenger side of my unit, my marked sheriff's unit.
What did you do with it once you walked over to the marked sheriff's unit?
I put it in the front seat, and I locked it.
I'm going to show you what's been marked as State's Exhibit 13.
No objection, Your Honor.
I'm losing track a little. So you just entered.
I haven't tendered 6 because we have other witnesses through whom we're going to
Okay, so 7, and I thought you had 7 and 8 that
7
you were
and
going to.
8, yes, sir. Haven't published yet.
Okay, but okay, those were admitted. Now you're doing 13.
13.
Okay.
Do you recognize what's on the screen there, Mr. Benavides?
Yes, I do.
What is it?
It is a gun that's in front of me, and this is the gun that the armorer Hannah Gutierrez handed me.
You testified that you put it in the front seat of your patrol vehicle.
Yes, I did.
Why did you put it there?
It was the most secure spot that I had control over at the time.
Okay. And what did you do to ensure that this gun was secured?
I locked I locked my unit, and nobody entered it except for me because I'm the only one with the key.
Where was State's Exhibit number 13 taken? Where was this gun when this photo was taken?
From the passenger side of my unit.
Okay. Why did you not stick it in an evidence bag?
It was so fluid, and the scene was so active. I put it there. It was secure there. That's where it stayed.
Okay. Did you do anything with this gun? Open the cylinder, or anything at all once you received it from Ms. Gutierrez?
Yes, as soon as I got to my unit, I opened up the cylinder and I made it safe for myself and whoever else was going to handle it.
And when you say you made it safe, what do you mean by that?
I opened up the cylinder on this wheel gun, and I ran the wheel to make sure there was no No rounds in it.
And were there any rounds in it?
There was no rounds in it.
Did you do anything else to the gun?
I did not.
Okay. To your knowledge, did anybody else have access to this gun once you put it in your patrol vehicle?
No.
So what is the next thing you did after you secured the gun in your patrol car?
What I remember is I was talking to the armor, Hannah. I put her in back of my unit and I told her she wasn't under arrest. I kept the door open because the detective needed to speak to her.
Okay. Now, did anybody have access to the front part of your patrol car?
They did not.
Okay. While this gun was in your possession, did you do anything, or to your knowledge, did anybody else touch it or do anything to it?
No.
Does Exhibit 13 accurately reflect the condition of the gun when it was handed to you?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Did you secure any other items of evidence?
I did. I secured 2 boxes of ammunition.
And where did you find those?
They were on a gray cart, which Hannah directed me to, that they were on a gray cart that were used for this gun.
All right, let's go to State's Exhibit 7, which has already been admitted.
All right, you may publish.
Thank you, Your Honor. Do you recognize that?
Yes, it is the gray cart that Hannah directed that the ammunition was on.
And where was that cart when it was you were directed to it?
My first lapel video where that gentleman directed me, walked me over, and he said none of these guns were used. This was the cart that he was talking about.
Okay. And where was this photo taken? Where was the cart when this photo was taken?
It looks like it was taken in front of my unit, in front of my in-car camera.
Okay. So was that cart moved from where you initially saw it to in front of your car?
Yes, it was.
Why?
Hannah had she directed that the ammunition was there, so there was a gentleman that officer services, because I was dealing with Hannah, and I watched him bring the cart from where it was to me.
Does State's Exhibit 7 accurately represent the cart in the condition that you saw it when you first were directed to it?
Yes, it is.
And why did you move it to the front of your patrol car?
It was evidence. Hannah said that ammunition was on it used in the church.
Is there another reason why you moved it to the front of your patrol car?
To keep an eye on it, to make sure nothing was taken, nothing was put in.
Was anything capturing what would happen if anybody got close to this cart?
To where it is right now, they would have captured from my in-car camera.
So do you have a dash camera?
Yes, a dash camera, yes.
So was the dash camera running and filming this cart as it's sitting there in front of your patrol car?
Yes, it was.
To your knowledge, did anybody come over to this cart and remove any items?
No, not when it was sitting there, no.
Okay. Why not collect the items instead of moving, or why not collect the items before you moved it?
I'm in a patrol car. I'm not in a van or anything that would fit the whole cart in a hole to secure it.
I'm going to show you State's Exhibit 8, which has already been admitted. May I publish, Your Honor?
Yes.
Okay. Is that a close-up of the cart?
Yes, it is.
What are we looking at? What was on the cart? What did you observe?
Loose ammunition, gun belts, a gun, various other items.
I'm going to show you what's been marked as State's Exhibit 9. Counsel, did you want to see it?
No objection. No objection.
May I, Your Honor, I move into evidence States Exhibit 9.
Yes.
May I publish?
Yes.
Do you recognize that? It's States Exhibit 9.
Yes, I do.
What is it?
It is a wheel gun.
Is there anything else that you see there?
There's car keys, there's loose ammunition.
Okay. And is this on the cart that we just saw?
Yes, it is.
And again, what did you do to preserve this evidence?
Like I said, I kept it in front of my unit for my dash cam to capture if it got tampered with.
Now, was there a perimeter established on this scene?
Yes, we did. We did a perimeter of yellow crime scene tape, and we tried to preserve everything that was in the church and everything that was out as in film.
Is that what we saw the...
Do you like having a P.O. box but are tired of wasting time and money driving to the post office? At iPostal One, we can help. With iPostal One, you can get a real physical street mailing address that's better than a P.O. box for as little as $9.99 a month. Choose an address from thousands in our network. We receive your mail and packages from any carrier, and you can view a
Crime scene tech, Marissa Popple.
You testified that you observed some rounds. I'm going to show you what's been marked as States Exhibit 10.
No objection, Your Honor.
May I publish on?
Yes.
I move into evidence States Exhibit 10.
Yes, you may publish.
Do you recognize those two rounds that we see there?
Yes,
How do you recognize them?
they were on the cart.
Did you touch them in any way or remove them from the cart?
I did not.
Now, you told us you also seized some boxes of ammunition.
Yes, I did.
And where did you take those from?
I took those physically from the cart.
I'm going to show you what's been marked as States Exhibits 11 and 12.
No objection.
Your Honor, the state would move into evidence States Exhibits 11 and 12.
Submitted, you may publish.
Thank you. What are we seeing here on States Exhibit 11?
That is the front driver's seat of my marked sheriff's unit, and there are two white boxes on my seat.
And where did you get those boxes from?
I physically took them from the cart, from the gray cart.
Why did you take those from the gray cart?
Those were the two boxes that Hannah Gutierrez, the armor, told me that were used.
Did you see what was inside those boxes?
I assume there were bullets.
Why remove just those boxes and not the other stuff on the cart?
The armor, Hannah, she pointed those out, and those were the ammunition used for the gun.
Let me show you States Exhibit number 12. Your Honor, I move into evidence States Exhibit 12 and ask to publish.
Yes.
What is States Exhibit 12, Mr. Benavides?
They are a close-up of the two white boxes.
And what kind of rounds are those?
Those rounds say 45 long Colt dummies.
Did you then turn these over to someone else, these boxes of ammunition?
Yes.
And who did you turn them over to?
The crime scene tech, Marissa Popple.
Let's go back to your lapel cam. You had testified earlier that you had placed Ms. Gutierrez in your vehicle. What happened to Ms. Gutierrez after we're seeing her here at 20 minutes and 8 seconds?
From this point, I took custody of the gun and we walked over to my marked sheriff unit.
I'm sorry, let me pause it there. This was the wrong copy.
Sorry, Major. What's going on? They said 2. Yeah. Now, anyone else secure? That you need Where are they at?
What are you being directed to at this point?
I don't remember. I couldn't really hear her.
Okay, let's go back. And I apologize, it looks like the audio is a little behind the video. What were you referring to when you said, where are they at?
She was telling me about the rounds.
And where are you headed at this point at 20 minutes and 16 seconds?
That is my unit that I'm looking at right in front of me.
Is that when you secured the gun in your vehicle?
That is the front of my unit on the passenger side. Yes, it is.
We need more units out here. And have been sighted out. Oh my God.
What is happening right now?
There was a helicopter just landed. Hannah's there on my right-hand side, and I'm watching the guy on the cart.
Okay. Is somebody bringing the cart to you at this point?
Yes, it was a gentleman. I didn't get his name, or I don't remember his name. That was bringing the cart.
Your Honor, did you want us to approach?
I'll just wait.
Are these the rounds here?
Okay,
You got rounds here.
okay, now, so, this is the one I'm pretty sure you wrote. This is that's the one, and okay. Sorry.
You're okay.
Sorry.
Just relax. Just relax.
So scared.
You're all right. Just relax.
But it's the box that I got them out of.
Okay, you one right there. You one right there, okay? Relax. I just need you to...
What's happening right here?
Hannah, as you could see, she's upset, visibly upset, and she's showing me where the rounds are that were used.
And was it the same rounds that you put in your vehicle?
Yes, it is.
Just relax, okay? I just need you to relax. Just please relax, okay? Just take deep breaths and relax. Can somebody get water for her? The helicopter's here for her. Yep, the helicopter's here for her.
Is she, where the fuck are these entry wounds? Is she okay?
What other involvement did you have in this investigation, Mr. Benavides?
That's all the involvement was, just trying to control the scene and taking care of Hannah and taking care of the evidence.
How long were you out there at the Bonanza Creek Ranch?
I didn't leave until about 8:30 that night, so about 6 hours.
May I have a moment, Your Honor?
Yes, why don't you take a look at this too?
Mr. Benavides, do you know where the gun was from the time of the shooting of Ms. Hutchins and Mr. Souza to the time that it was given to you by Ms. Gutierrez?
I do not.
And do you know who handled that gun from the time of after the shooting to the time that it was given to you?
I do not, other than Hannah handing it to me.
May I have a moment, Your Honor? Thank you, Mr. Benavides, and you can take those gloves off unless you want to keep them on.
May I, Your Honor?
Yes.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
You know, when you get to this scene, you can hear yourself yelling in the lapel, "Where's the prop person?" Right?
Correct.
And when you get to the cart that we looked at, I think it's State's Exhibit 7, and if we could publish that when we can in a moment. But fair to say that the cart was sort of disorderly, right?
Oh, it was a mess.
Okay. And you don't know whether anybody moved anything before you got there, right?
I do not.
Okay. And you didn't see Sarah Zachary, the prop master, there, correct?
No. I don't know who that is.
And so when you first get to the prop cart, you eventually sort of leave it and go back to going to deal with other things, right?
Well, the gentleman that was there, he told me that the gun wasn't there. There was a lot of guns on that. There was a couple of guns on that cart, but he told me I have to take him for his word because I wasn't there. He told me that the gun used in the church was not there.
Right, but there was, and you anticipated, there were other guns on that.
That is correct.
Okay. And you left those firearms and you left them there and you went to do what you did next, right?
Correct.
Okay. And, you know, in a typical homicide scene, right, you probably wouldn't be walking away from all sorts of, you know, firearms, but this was a movie set, right?
That is correct.
And an empty prop gun without live ammunition isn't going to hurt anybody, fair?
I do not know, but...
Objection mischaracterizes the evidence.
I mean, other than if you drop the empty gun on your toe or something, an empty gun, a completely empty gun, isn't going to hurt anybody, true?
A complete, yeah, of course.
Right, so I think you fixed it. Sustained and you fixed it.
You know, and then you go back to the armorer, and she hands you the firearm, right?
Yes, they direct me to the armor because I didn't know who the armorer was, and they directed me to her, and I asked her, "Is this the gun?" And she said yes.
And I can see you're wearing gloves as you're taking out the exhibit today. Right? You've got purple gloves on?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I don't think you have to keep them on, by the way, if you don't want to keep them on.
I didn't know if you wanted to see the gun or not.
No, okay. I don't have to see it right now. But the reason I'm asking this is, and I don't think you talked about this in direct, but the day you took the gun, you weren't wearing gloves, right?
That is correct.
Okay. And but you were sort of careful when you took it, and you sort of you took it without touching the trigger. So if somebody wanted to swab the trigger for DNA, they still could. Fair?
The way I handled it was trying to be as safe as possible because I didn't have a holster for it. So I was trying to hold it so I didn't pull the trigger because I didn't know if it was empty or loaded or not.
And because you handled it that way, also somebody could have swabbed the trigger for DNA, right?
I guess so, yes.
Okay. Do you know if law enforcement ever swabbed the trigger for DNA?
I have no idea.
So there was a question posed to you about, the prop gun, when you got it, was empty, fair?
Yes, when I cleared it at my unit, it was empty.
But you don't know what happened exactly to the ammo that was in it at the time of the incident, right?
No, I do not.
And somebody told you that Dave, the first assistant director, head of safety, had the rounds, right?
Objection assumes facts not in evidence.
He's asking him.
It's just a question. Do you know that?
I don't know who Dave is. I don't remember any of their names to this date,
Okay.
other than the victims.
Well, do you remember somebody telling you that the rounds were back at the cart?
I believe Hannah was talking to somebody, and they directed it to that they were on the cart.
And was that a male?
Yes, I believe so.
Okay. And you don't know, as you sit here today, whether that was Dave Hall's head of safety of the set?
Yeah, I don't remember. No.
Okay.
I don't know.
I'm going to refresh you in a moment on that, but while I'm doing that, I'm just going to move on for a second, which is the next time you see the cart, right? It's being brought to you in a different location, right? The cart gets moved.
Yes,
Yeah?
from the first time I saw it, where that gentleman directed me to it, and he said that the gun used wasn't there until the gentleman brought it to me. Yes.
And you've said that ideally that's not how it would have gone down, right?
Not at all. But I was trying to improvise as much as I could.
Okay. There were eventually, when you get the prop cart back, the sort of third viewing of the prop cart, there was ammunition on top of the cart. Fair?
Yes, and that's what I saw when I first saw it.
And you saw it again when the cart came back, right?
Correct.
And at one point, you actually sort of reached down and touched some of the ammunition. True?
I believe I picked them up and put them down. I didn't know if they were live. I didn't know anything. So.
And another civilian came over and picked one up and showed you one was this and one was that, right?
Yeah, he explained real quick, which it didn't register too much to me, but he was trying to instruct me what to look for, I guess.
And if I could just show the witness, I assume no objection to States 26? Okay. If I could offer, I don't know how you want me to do this, if I could offer States 26, or should I make it a defense exhibit?
Your Honor, we have no objection to admitting our own exhibit, so thank you.
Great. So I'll admit States 26.
States 22?
26, Your Honor.
All right.
Do you see that on your screen, sir?
Yes, I do.
And if you look sort of in the middle section, the 2 and 2, the 2 and the 2.
Oh, yes.
Okay. Can you tell which ones are dummies and lives by looking at them?
I do not.
We can take that down. Where was the backup? You know, you're talking about a lot in direct about how, you know, this happens and that happens, and I'm just sort of curious, where was backup?
Backup is in...
That's in more, you know, reinforcements, sir, so that you didn't have to try to manage all of this.
So that day I had 7 deputies, including myself, on duty here in Santa Fe County. I had Deputy LaFleur was a swing shift deputy, so he was coming into work. I believe he lives somewhere in Albuquerque. And he was coming into work when the call came in. And it was myself and the corporal who were available at the time. So there was only 3 of us, and the rest were northern part of the county and the eastern part of the county and the southern part of the county.
And you called backups for the state police, right?
I did.
And they, that request for backup was denied by supervisors, correct?
As if I remember correctly, yes. Or they didn't have. I don't remember if they said they didn't have enough, or they didn't have availability, or the supervisor just said no.
Didn't the supervisor say that they believed this would likely be unfounded and it was probably an accident?
Objection, Your Honor. Hearsay and assumes facts not in evidence.
It's a proper question, obviously, because I'm asking why the backup didn't come in if he knows that.
We're going to strike that question and answer, and he can rephrase. Thank you.
Sure. Thank you.
When I say strike, that means disregard the question and the answer. Thank you.
You called for the state police and they didn't come, right?
Yes.
And that would have been your supervisor's call, not yours, correct?
My supervisor? No.
Yeah, I'm asking.
No.
Whether or not that request went to the states?
No.
That wouldn't have been your supervisor's call?
That wouldn't have been my supervisor's call, no.
Did you make that call direct?
I asked dispatch to talk to state police to see if they could send people to help me with the scene.
Okay. The perimeter that you talked about did not include the prop truck, correct?
Yeah, I didn't know what any of that was. I was just trying to take care of what happened in the church.
Right. So, but just so that it's clear for the members of the jury, you later learned that cart that we're looking at rolls up and goes into a prop truck that housed the rest of the firearms and ammunition.
Objection, right? Speculation.
If he knows.
I did not know that. I did not.
No, I know you did. I know you're saying you didn't know that then. I'm saying you did become aware later that there was a prop truck, right?
Objection, hearsay, and speculation.
I think you asked an answer. Didn't you just ask that question?
I can just move on to another if he doesn't know. Okay. But fair to say, law enforcement wanted to find the origin of the bullet that struck Ms. Hutchins, right?
My personal involvement was just taking care of the evidence, and I don't know what happened after that.
Well, you collected those white boxes, right? Those
Yes.
2 white generic boxes, didn't you?
Yes, exactly.
Okay, so I mean, you wanted to, as I think you testified direct, find the source of the ammunition, correct?
Yes, whatever Hannah directed me to, yes.
And you wanted to talk to Hannah about this, correct?
I kept her for the detectives, yes.
She said, "Oh my God, fuck, I'm so sorry."
I did hear that on my lapel, yes.
Okay. Everyone's been yelling at her.
I did hear that in my lapel.
And you placed her in the police car, right?
In the back of my patrol car, yes.
Right. Nobody placed Mr. Baldwin in a police car, correct?
Objection, relevance.
Correct?
Correct.
Now, you know, when you're at the scene talking to witnesses, which you can hear yourself doing on that lapel, you know, you're letting witnesses give you information. Fair?
Yes.
You're not, you know, trying to put words in their mouth, right?
No.
You're not cutting them off, right?
I probably did some of them, but I tried to listen to them, yes.
Well, you're trying to look at the facts and circumstances and trying to figure out whether or not a crime occurred or whether this was an accident. Fair?
All I was trying to do was preserve the evidence for the detectives. That's all I was trying to do.
And you understood that the detectives were trying to rule out that it was a crime, correct?
Objection, speculation.
Overruled. He can ask if he understood that or not.
You understood from meeting with the detectives that they were trying to figure out and rule out if this was a crime.
Well, that's our main function, is to see if there was a crime committed or not.
So you agree with me, right?
That's our main function as law enforcement, yes.
Okay. You don't know how the live bullet got on the movie set?
I do not.
You don't know why the armor loaded into the prop gun. She didn't tell you that.
No, I do not.
And you don't know why the first AD failed to detect it?
The what?
The first assistant director, that guy Dave.
Oh, I do not. I don't.
Okay. And you still work for the Santa Fe Sheriff's Office?
Do I still work? No, I'm retired.
You've retired. Okay. I have nothing further for this witness at this time.
All right, thank you. Redirect.
Yes, Your Honor, briefly. Thank you. Mr. Benavides, you were shown State's Exhibit 26 on cross-examination. Do you know where those rounds that we see on 26 came from?
I do not.
You testified on cross-examination that this cart was disorderly, I believe is what you said. It was a mess?
Yeah, it was a mess. Was
that cart in a place where it was visible to everybody who worked on that set?
Objection. Also speculation.
What was, if I'll rephrase, Your Honor, was it in a visible place?
Objection. Vague. Unclear.
Well, why don't you describe where you saw it?
I believe it was next to a tent, and there was people all around it.
Now, you were asked a question about leaving the cart, this prop cart, unattended. Did you leave it unattended where anybody would come and be able to remove and take things off it?
When I took custody, when I saw the gentleman bringing it to front of my unit, it stayed right there, and nobody messed with it, no.
Now, you were shown photos of the, let me show you State's Exhibit number 7, if I may. Showing you State's Exhibit number 9. Did you have any reason to believe that was a fake gun?
It was a movie set. I did not know if it was fake or real.
Exhibit number 6 that you have in front of you. When you took that into custody, did you have any reason to believe that that was not a real gun?
No.
Did you have any involvement in this prop truck that you were asked about?
No. At the time, I didn't know anything about a prop truck.
Why did you place Ms. Gutierrez in the back of your police car?
She was the main person that was handling the firearm. And common sense told me that detectives wanted to speak to her.
Were you asked about where to place Mr. Baldwin?
No. I believe Deputy LaFleur asked me, but there was so many witnesses on his side. I just told him to keep him separated from everybody and everybody from each other as much as possible.
Now, is the reason he was not placed in a police car because he wasn't a suspect?
At the time, I don't remember if somebody told. At the time, I don't remember if somebody told me he was handling the gun. I don't remember. So no.
So he wasn't placed in a police car just because there were other reasons?
She has not asked the question yet. So
I'll rephrase, Your Honor. Now, Mr. Spiro asked you, you didn't place Mr. Baldwin in a police car, but you placed Hannah. Is it because Mr. Baldwin was different from Hannah, or was it other reasons?
It was other reasons. Like I said, Deputy LaFleur had a lot of people on his side of the movie set, so keeping one person in a police car, you got to watch them, and then you got to watch everybody else. So he was able to watch everybody all at once.
May I have a moment, Your Honor?
All right, we're going to take our bathroom break. We'll be back at 3:15. Please don't talk among yourselves or anyone else about the evidence received here in court. We are in recess.
Hey there, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in to watch our coverage of the Alec Baldwin trial. Look, you know, it's cases like this one that show you not only how scary the world can be, but also how unpredictable it can be. And truly, one of the scariest things that can happen to you, something that comes out of nowhere, is if you get injured, right? It's an incredibly traumatic and confusing experience, but that is why I want to take a minute to call out our great partner and sponsor of the Alec Baldwin trial, Morgan & Morgan. This is a firm with over 1,000 lawyers that you may want in your corner because they are specialists in this area. Morgan & Morgan is America's largest injury law firm, and for a reason. They win a lot. They have secured multiple recent multi-million-dollar verdicts and settlements for victims, including those who were in life-altering events. And often these amounts are considerably higher than the highest insurance offers in these cases. Morgan & Morgan will fight for what their clients deserve in compensation. But one of the best things about Morgan & Morgan is how easy they make this whole process for their clients. From starting your claim to uploading documents to signing contracts, to talking to your legal team, it can all be done from your smartphone. That's it. Seeing if you have a case only takes a few minutes, and also there's no upfront fee. You only pay them if you
Major breaking news into CNN. Actor Alec Baldwin has just been indicted by a New Mexico grand jury on charges connected to that fatal 2021 shooting on the set of the film Rust.
Yeah, CNN's Josh Campbell joining us now on this, along with legal analyst Ariva Martin. Josh, first to you, tell us what we know here.
Yeah, so once again, Alec Baldwin now criminally charged once again. Obviously, we had been reporting earlier on after that fatal shooting in 2021 that the actor had been criminally charged. Those charges were then dropped. Prosecutors at the time said that that was because new evidence came to light in the case, causing questions about a piece of evidence. A law enforcement source at the time told me that that was because they learned that the weapon that was used in the shooting had been modified in some form. And so, again, those charges had been dropped. Prosecutors at the time said, though, that if they gather new information that determined culpability on the part of Alec Baldwin, they would then possibly refile charges. We're learning today that did indeed happen. A grand jury in the state of New Mexico returning this 2-count indictment. I'll read you the 2 charges specifically. Count 1 is for involuntary manslaughter, negligent use of a firearm. Count 2, involuntary manslaughter without due caution or circumspection. Now, the original prosecutor in the case told me that as part of this lengthy investigation, authorities had determined that there was this culture of unsafe practices on the set of that movie with past reports of accidental discharges. It's worth pointing out that actor Alec Baldwin all along has indicated that he did not pull the trigger on that weapon. He has maintained his innocence. We just got a statement in here to CNN, a very short statement from Baldwin's attorney saying that they look forward to their date in court. But again, the breaking news now, actor Alec Baldwin once again now criminally charged in the fatal shooting on the set of the movie Rust in 2021, which killed cinematographer Helena Hutchins.
Well, these are stunning terms of events because, Brianna, we know that Alec Baldwin probably thought that this case was completely done once the other prosecutors who were assigned to the case dropped the charges against him. We know that he's gone public talking about the case. He has maintained his innocence. So now to be recharged with some of the same evidence and the same gun, the same issue that the prior prosecutors had with respect to the gun at issue, having been mishandled or somehow damaged by the FBI, it's going to be interesting to see how this new team of prosecutors are able to establish the evidence that will be necessary to get a conviction in this case, because you still have this gun that was somehow mishandled by the FBI, which is a central piece of evidence.
The interesting part about this, to me, Ariva, is that officials have not been able to determine how the live ammunition found its way into that .45 caliber revolver it was manufactured by this Italian company that specializes in the kind of reproductions that are used on films like Rust. How does that potentially complicate the process of proving in court that Baldwin is guilty of 2 counts of involuntary manslaughter?
It's going to be challenging, Boris, because the prosecutors will have to prove willful disregard. And you are right. Not only have the investigators or prosecutors not been able to determine how live bullets or live ammunition ended up in the gun, they don't even know how live ammunition ended up on the set. That's still a very unanswered question. They have not been able to, even though the armorer, who has also been charged, she's set to go to trial starting in February. Apparently, she has not provided any information to law enforcement about how that live ammunition arrived on that set. Look, we know that people should not be killed in the making of a movie. This was a tragedy that should have never happened. 2 people have been charged, and now with Alec Baldwin, a 3rd person being charged. Clearly, someone is responsible for the death of Miss Hutchins. But the investigation seems to have been so shoddy that it's not clear to me that anyone will be held criminally responsible.
Yeah, Josh, how much can that endanger things when you have, at least in this kind of legal accounting here, so many people held accountable and it's really unclear which one should be?
No, it's a great question. I posed this to prosecutors early on, and they said that they will conduct this investigation and hold accountable anyone that they believe was responsible. But it's worth pointing out, after those initial charges came out, we heard from numerous legal experts who were quite stunned, actually, saying that, we can understand charging someone who, was responsible for a live round being in that gun. But there's just been this question about an actor, someone who was told on set, allegedly by one of the prop masters, that this weapon was, quote, cold, that it did not have any type of ammunition in it. That person then handed it to Alec Baldwin. And so this is going to be, I think, a central part of Alec Baldwin's defense. 2 parts. First, should an actor be responsible for then checking the gun and then knowing the difference between a live round of ammunition and a so-called dummy round? We know that there was a live round of ammunition in there ultimately. There's also the question about the integrity of the gun itself. As Ariva was just talking about, whenever the FBI was brought in to conduct an analysis of this gun, they did multiple tests on the weapon. The central question there was, could this gun go off if Alec Baldwin did not pull the trigger. Of course, he has claimed all along that he did not pull the trigger. What the FBI determined through their testing is that gun could not have fired unless someone actually pulled the trigger. Now, as Ariva mentioned, the gun did get destroyed during the course of that testing. I read through this lengthy report from the FBI analysts in Quantico. What they indicated was, we're talking about an old gun. This isn't a prop gun. This was an actual functioning weapon that through the course of multiple rounds of testing, the gun, pieces inside the gun ultimately failed, causing destruction. And that's what Alec Baldwin's team seized on, saying, look, the gun itself, there were problems with it. But, I went back to law enforcement, to, the prosecutors asking, they indicated that no, at the time that the weapon was used on that set, analysts believe that it could not have been fired without someone actually pulling the trigger, which I think finally is why, as you look at these charges, this all seems to center around negligence. I mean, it's right in count one, negligent use of a firearm. If you are someone who is in possession of a functioning firearm and you point it at someone and you manipulate that weapon, whether that's the trigger or the hammer on the gun, and it goes off and someone dies, are you responsible? Prosecutors here saying ultimately yes, or I should say a grand jury coming now and saying yes, that Alec Baldwin should be indicted on those criminal charges. Of course, we'll wait and see what happens next in the prosecution. There was always this question about, early on, whether Alec Baldwin would plead to anything. His team was adamant that he wasn't pleading to anything, that he determined or believed that he was innocent of these charges. And again, that statement we just got from his attorney say that they look forward to having their day in court. And then the final point I'll mention, as Ariva centered on, which is so important, is that we're not talking about a separate group of prosecutors from the original team that filed charges. This prosecution has had all kinds of issues. At one point, there was one person who was brought onto the prosecution team. It turned out she was a Republican legislator in New Mexico who was also working on the case. The Baldwin team cried foul. They're saying, look, this probably smacks of politics. And so, bottom line, a new
She was my friend.
Alec Baldwin on camera for the first time since the deadly movie set shooting in New Mexico.
I'm not allowed to make any comments because it's an ongoing investigation. I've been ordered by the Sheriff's Department in Santa Fe. I can't answer any questions about the investigation. I can't.
In an impromptu interview, the 63-year-old beside his wife Hilaria telling photographers the Rust production will not continue, calling the tragic death of cinematographer Helena Hutchins one in a trillion.
There are incidental accidents on film sets from time to time, but nothing like this. This is a 1 in a trillion episode. It's a 1 in a trillion event.
The actor-producer sharing his concern for Hutchins' family, saying he's talked repeatedly with her husband.
He is in shock. He has a 9-year-old son. We are in constant contact with him because we're very worried about his family and his kid. And as I said, we're eagerly awaiting for the Sheriff's Department to tell us what the investigation has yielded.
The encounter at times intense and even awkward.
Excuse me.
Baldwin shooing his wife away at one point.
You guys, you know what? No details.
Do me a favor. I'm gonna answer the question.
The famed 30 Rock actor fired the deadly shot, according to authorities, after he was handed a prop gun mistakenly with a real bullet inside. The assistant director yelling cold gun, meaning it was safe to use. Still, Baldwin defending the production.
We were a very, very, well-oiled crew shooting a film together, and then this horrible event happened.
A characterization in sharp contrast to what others on the ground have recalled. A source familiar with the matter saying some crew members walked off set shortly before the shooting over safety concerns. But Rust Movies Productions having said previously, we were not made aware of any official complaints concerning weapon or prop safety on set. Baldwin now turning his attention to a broader look at change in the industry.
So what has to happen now is we have to realize that when it does go wrong, and it's this horrible catastrophic thing, some new measures have to take place. Rubber guns, plastic guns, no real operatives on set. That's not for me to decide. It's urgent. It's urgent that you understand I'm not an expert in this field. So whatever other people decide is the best way to go in terms of protecting people's safety on film sets, I'm all in favor of, and I will cooperate with that in any way that I can.
The Baldwin family parting with this plea for privacy.
My kids are in the car crying.
Emily just joins us from Los Angeles. Emily, do we know why Baldwin decided to speak now?
Jose, several photographers have been staking out Baldwin in Vermont. The actor ultimately called them over and said he would talk in the hopes that they would then stop following him, his wife, and their children.
Hey, I'm Alec Baldwin. I've had a home out here on the east end of Long Island since 1982. When I was younger, we'd come out here and we'd sleep all morning and lay on the beach all day. When you're young, this place is the best. My first house was here on Bluff Road in Amagansett, a house I rented for 5 years, and then after that, I decided to buy my own place. I bought my first house here on Old Montauk Highway, around the corner from Atlantic Avenue Beach. I had this little cottage over here for about 7 or 8 years, and then I decided I wanted something bigger, so I bought my house over on Town Lane. I bought this house back in 1995. I put this addition on the eastern side of the property in 1996, My wife Ilaria and I built this addition on the western side of the property in 2014. We've got about 10,000 square feet here. I fell in love with this place the moment I came here because this is the main family home of the former Potter farm, the Potter family. You just can't get this out here anymore. You can't buy big pieces of land, especially in Amagansett, that I know of. And I've always loved it here. We've got all this open land here in reserve. The meadow in the front of my property is in reserve. It's a very, very low density area, and I love coming here. I'm always happiest when I come here, especially this time of year. I love it in the wintertime because it's so peaceful and it's so beautiful.
Breaking news. CNN and Fox News report, grand jury indicts Alec Baldwin, again, in the fatal shooting on set, that actor alleges was a mistake.
Welcome to Verdict Vantage, covering breaking news stories. Thank you for supporting our research. We would like to extend a trigger warning before we continue. Please be advised.
This video contains discussions about true crime, which may include topics such as violence, assault, and other distressing incidents. Viewer discretion is advised.
Major breaking news into CNN. Actor Alec Baldwin has just been indicted by a New Mexico grand jury on charges connected to that fatal 2021 shooting on the set of the film Rust.
This breaking news comes at the heel of reports that Alec Baldwin is selling his home in New York, and at a major price drop. Let's take a look.
I bought this house back in 1995. I put this addition on the eastern side of the property in 1996. And my wife Ilaria and I built this addition on the western side of the property in 2014. We've got about 10,000 square feet here. I fell in love with this place the moment I came here because this is the main family home of the former Potter farm, the Potter family. You just can't get this out here anymore. You can't buy big pieces of land, especially in Amagansett, that I know of. And I've always loved it here. We've got all this open land here in reserve. The meadow in the front of my property is in reserve. It's a very, very low density area, and I love coming here. I'm always happiest when I come here, especially this time of year. I love it in the wintertime because it's so peaceful and it's so beautiful.
If Alec loves his home so much, and there is so much sentiment behind it, why is he listing it for a deal buyers can't pass up? Now, we may know why.
Yeah, CNN's Josh Campbell joining us now on this, along with legal analyst Ariva Martin. Josh, first to you, tell us what we know here.
Yeah, so once again, Alec Baldwin now criminally charged once again. Obviously, we had been reporting earlier on after that fatal shooting in 2021 that the actor had been criminally charged. Those charges were then dropped. Prosecutors at the time said that that was because new evidence came to light in the case, causing questions about a piece of evidence. A law enforcement source at the time told me that that was because they learned that the weapon that was used in the shooting had been modified in some form. And so again, those charges had been dropped. Prosecutors at the time said, though, that if they gather new information that determined culpability on the part of Alec Baldwin, they would then possibly refile charges. We're learning today that did indeed happen. A grand jury in the state of New Mexico returning this 2-count indictment. I'll read you the 2 charges specifically. Count 1 is for involuntary manslaughter, negligent use of a firearm. Count 2, involuntary manslaughter without due caution or circumspection. Now, the original prosecutor in the case told me that as part of this lengthy investigation, authorities had determined that there was this culture of unsafe practices on the set of that movie with past reports of accidental discharges. It's worth pointing out that actor Alec Baldwin all along has indicated that he did not pull the trigger on that weapon. He has maintained his innocence. We just got a statement in here to CNN, a very short statement from Baldwin's attorney saying that they look forward to their date in court. But again, the breaking news now, actor Alec Baldwin once again now criminally charged in the fatal shooting on the set of the movie Rust in 2021, which killed cinematographer Helena Hutchins.
What are your thoughts on the case of Alec Baldwin and the fatal shooting that took place on the set of Rust? Let us know in the comment section below. If you were a juror in this trial, would you find Alec guilty as charged?
Well, these are stunning terms of events because, Brianna, we know that Alec Baldwin probably thought that this case was completely done once the other prosecutors who were assigned to the case dropped the charges against him. We know that he's gone public talking about the case. He has maintained his innocence. So now to be recharged with some of the same evidence and the same gun, the same issue that the prior prosecutors had with respect to the gun at issue, having been mishandled or somehow damaged by the FBI, it's going to be interesting to see how this new team of prosecutors are able to establish the evidence that will be necessary to get a conviction in this case, because you still have this gun that was somehow mishandled by the FBI, which is a central piece of evidence.
Let's take a look back to what Alec said to reporters in an interview after the incident took place.
She was my friend.
Alec Baldwin on camera for the first time since the deadly movie set shooting in New Mexico.
I'm not allowed to make any comments because it's an ongoing investigation. I've been ordered by the Sheriff's Department in Santa Fe. I can't answer any questions about the investigation. I can't.
In an impromptu interview, the 63-year-old beside his wife Hilaria, telling photographers the Rust production will not continue, calling the tragic death of cinematographer Helena Hutchins one in a trillion.
There are incidental accidents on film sets from time to time, but nothing like this. This is a 1 in a trillion episode. It's a 1 in a trillion event.
The actor-producer sharing his concern for Hutchins' family, saying he's talked repeatedly with her husband.
He is in shock. He has a 9-year-old son. We are in constant contact with him because we're very worried about his family and his kid. And as I said, we're eagerly awaiting for the Sheriff's Department to tell us what their investigation has yielded.
The encounter at times intense and even awkward.
Excuse me.
Baldwin shooing his wife away at one point.
You guys, you know what? No details.
Do me a favor. I'm gonna answer the question.
The famed 30 Rock actor fired the deadly shot, according to authorities, after he was handed a prop gun mistakenly with a real bullet inside. The assistant director yelling cold gun, meaning it was safe to use. Still, Baldwin defending the production.
We were a very, very, well-oiled crew shooting a film together, and then this horrible event happened.
A characterization in sharp contrast to what others on the ground have recalled, a source familiar with the matter saying some crew members walked off set shortly before the shooting over safety concerns. But Rust Movies Productions having said previously, we were not made aware of any official complaints concerning weapon or prop safety on set. Baldwin now turning his attention to a broader look at change in the industry.
So what has to happen now is we have to realize that when it does go wrong, and it's this horrible catastrophic thing, some new measures have to take place. Rubber guns, plastic guns, no real operatives on set. And that's not what we decide. It's urgent. It's urgent that you understand I'm not an expert in this field. So whatever other people decide is the best way to go in terms of protecting people's safety on film sets, I'm all in favor of, and I will cooperate with that in any way that I can.
The Baldwin family parting with this plea for privacy.
My kids are in the car crying.
Emily just joins us from Los Angeles. Emily, do we know why Baldwin decided to speak now?
Jose, several photographers have been staking out Baldwin in Vermont. The actor ultimately called them over and said he would talk in the hopes that they would then stop following him, his wife, and their children.
We are not body language experts here at Verdict Vantage. However, it is interesting to note Alec's body language during this interview, along with the body language of his wife. They both appear to be emotionally detached from the situation, unless it is for their own sake. Otherwise, they are quite angry and, notably, Alec's wife is extremely defensive. What do you take away from this footage, in regards to the body language of Alec and his wife?
The interesting part about this, to me, Ariva, is that officials have not been able to determine how the live ammunition found its way into that .45 caliber revolver it was manufactured by this Italian company that specializes in the kind of reproductions that are used on films like Rust. How does that potentially complicate the process of proving in court that Baldwin is guilty of 2 counts of involuntary manslaughter?
It's going to be challenging, Boris, because the prosecutors will have to prove willful disregard. And you are right. Not only have the investigators or prosecutors not been able to determine how live bullets or live ammunition ended up in the gun, they don't even know how live ammunition ended up on the set. That's still a very unanswered question. They have not been able to, even though the armorer, who has also been charged, she's set to go to trial starting in February. Apparently, she has not provided any information to law enforcement about how that live ammunition arrived on that set. Look, we know that people should not be killed in the making of a movie. This was a tragedy that should have never happened. 2 people have been charged, and now with Alec Baldwin, a 3rd person being charged. Clearly, someone is responsible for the death of Miss Hutchins. But the investigation seems to have been so shoddy that it's not clear to me that anyone will be held criminally responsible.
Swear affirm under penalty of law that the testimony you'll give in this case will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
All right, have a seat, talk into the microphone.
Yes,
Might proceed, Your Honor. Good afternoon, Deputy Lujan. Would you please introduce yourself to the members of the jury?
Deputy Joseph Lujan, Santa Fe County Sheriff's Office.
Would you pull that microphone a little bit closer to you, sir? Thank you. How are you employed?
With the Santa Fe County Sheriff's Department.
And how long have you been with the Santa Fe County Sheriff's Department?
A little over 10 years now.
And what are your duties?
I'm currently assigned to the Court Services Division.
And how long have you been assigned to the Court Services Division?
About 10 months now, I believe.
And prior to that, where were you assigned?
I was on the Patrol Division.
And what does a Patrol Division do?
We answer calls throughout the county. Anything from DWI, crash investigations, criminal investigations, that type of thing.
Were you on duty on October 21st, 2021?
Yes, it was.
And do you recall what you were assigned to do that day?
Just normal patrol duties.
Okay. And were you involved in the investigation into a shooting that occurred at the Bonanza Creek Ranch?
Yes, it was.
And what role did you play in that investigation?
Deputy or Sheriff's Office personnel had already been dispatched to the scene at the movie set. Lieutenant Benavides advised that one of the persons shot was being transported to the hospital and requested a deputy respond to the hospital as well.
Which hospital?
The St. Vincent's Hospital here in Santa Fe.
Okay. And was that deputy you?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you recall approximately what time you were dispatched or you went to the hospital?
It was a little bit after 2 o'clock.
And once you arrived at the hospital, where did you go?
I arrived to the emergency room.
And why did you go to the emergency room?
We had been notified, or I had been notified through dispatch that the ambulance was transporting that subject to the emergency room.
Okay. And so once you were in the ER, did you go into a room or did you wait in the lobby? What did you do?
I arrived at one of the trauma rooms that's there at the hospital.
Okay. What did you observe when you walked into the trauma room?
A gentleman sitting on or laying on like a gurney, hospital bed type thing, in the upright position. He had an approximate half-inch hole to, I believe it was the right side of his shoulder.
Do you remember his name?
Yes, it was Mr. Joel Souza.
Okay. And what did you do next?
I briefly made contact with Mr. Souza in an attempt to collect preliminary facts surrounding what had occurred.
Okay. And we're not going to talk about what Mr. Souza told you, but after you spoke with Mr. Souza, what did you do?
I observed medical doctors They administered some sort of medication to him, and then they retrieved a projectile from his shoulder.
Okay. Were you watching this as it was taking place?
Yes, it was.
So did you watch doctors retrieve that projectile from his shoulder?
Yes, ma'am.
And what happened to that projectile once it was taken out of Mr. Souza's shoulder?
It was placed into a plastic container. It was handed to me, and I kept possession of it.
And where did you take it?
It was in my possession until Santa Fe County Sheriff's Office investigators arrived, at which point I transferred it, I gave it to them.
Do you recall who you gave it to?
Yes, Miss Marissa Pop. I can't pronounce her last name. Yes, ma'am.
And who is she?
She is an evidence tech, crime scene tech with the Sheriff's Office.
Okay. I'm going to show you what's been marked as State's Exhibit 14. May I approach you?
Yeah.
No objection, Your Honor.
Do you recognize State's Exhibit 14?
Yes, ma'am.
What is it?
That was the projectile that was retrieved by medical staff at the hospital out of Mr. Joel Souza.
Does Exhibit 14 appear to be in the same condition it was in when it was given to you by doctors?
Yes, ma'am.
Your Honor, the State would move into evidence State's Exhibit 14.
Yes, you may follow.
Thank you. So after you provided this to the crime scene technician, did you have any other involvement in this investigation?
Other than just writing a report, and that was it.
May I have a moment, Your Honor? I have nothing further. Thank you, Deputy.
Yes, ma'am.
Good afternoon, sir. You were the first member of law enforcement to meet with Mr. Souza, the director of the film, afterwards, right?
I believe so, at the hospital, yes, sir.
Right. And I think you told the prosecutor you briefly made contact with him to get some preliminary facts?
Yes, sir.
And he was willing to speak to you, right?
Yes, sir.
And he never once mentioned Alec Baldwin, did he?
Objection. Calls for hearsay.
Not hearsay. Never once mentioned Alec Baldwin, correct?
Objection. Hearsay.
All right. I don't think that, no, I'm going to overrule.
He never, in describing the preliminary facts to you, ever mentioned Alec Baldwin, correct? Correct. No further questions for this witness?
Any redirect?
No, Your Honor.
All right. Thank you, sir. You're excused.
The State calls Marissa Popple. Yeah, but she took it. Okay.
Face the judge and raise your right hand, please.
Do you swear affirm under penalty of law that the testimony you'll give in this case will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
All right. Thank you. Have a seat talking to the microphone.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Please state your name for the record.
Marissa Popple.
Would you spell your last name?
Poppell.
How are you currently employed?
I'm a crime scene technician with Santa Fe County Sheriff's Office.
How long have you held that position?
3 years.
Prior to being the crime scene technician for Santa Fe County Sheriff's Office, were you a crime scene technician elsewhere?
Yes.
Well, where was that?
With the Fort Myers Police Department in Fort Myers, Florida.
And how long did you do crime scene technician work in Florida?
4 years.
And can you briefly describe for the ladies and gentlemen of the jury what a crime scene technician does?
Yes, as a crime scene technician, I respond to all sorts of different scenes, whether they're death investigations, burglaries, robberies, whenever there's an abundance of evidence or an abundance of documentation that's needed. I take photographs, of the scenes, of the evidence. I collect the evidence, and then I package it at our office.
And do you ever send any of the evidence that you collect somewhere else for additional testing?
Yes.
And tell us, where would you send things, and give us an idea.
Sometimes things are sent to our local state lab here in Santa Fe. Sometimes they are sent to private labs, or sometimes they are sent to the FBI if they're working with us.
Why would you send things to any of those places?
So our state lab is local, so it's nice to be able to have them in the backyard so that they can help us with more common day items. For independent labs, if we have something that needs done within a very quick time frame, we'll utilize them, but they require us to pay for the testing ourselves. Or if the FBI is assisting with us, sometimes they can do additional testing that maybe our local lab wouldn't be able to do.
I want you to give the ladies and gentlemen of the jury an idea of what kind of testing you are requesting when you send items out.
Yes, this could be latent print analysis, DNA analysis, firearms testing, things of that nature.
And Ms. Popple, how did you become involved in this case?
I was asked to respond to a scene of a shooting along with my criminal investigations division. That would be the detectives and myself responding to a scene on October 21st of 2021.
Do you recall approximately what time you arrived on scene?
I believe it was between 2:30 and 3 o'clock in the afternoon.
And when you arrived on scene, kind of walk us through what you were tasked with doing.
The first thing I was asked to do was photograph the initial scene and what was going on around me, essentially.
And can you give us an idea of, so you indicated that you were asked to photograph the initial scene. Is that common?
Yes.
And generally speaking, after you photograph the initial scene, do you photograph other things?
Yes.
And what do you photograph?
So any items of evidence would be photographed on scene, and then if additional photographs are needed, then those items could be laid out at our office in a secure area and re-photographed.
And did you take photographs of items of evidence at the scene?
Yes.
Did you also take photographs of some of those same items back at the Sheriff's Department?
Yes.
What's the point to that?
If there are areas of detail that would be difficult to photograph on scene, we can do so at the office in controlled lighting conditions, areas where we could move the objects in order to see different parts of it a little easier.
Did you, and I don't want to get too much into the details right now, but did you also participate in the execution of search warrants?
Yes.
And why do you, as the crime scene technician, participate in the execution of search warrants?
Part of my duties when we're executing a search warrant is I'm not only documenting all of the evidence on scene, but I'm also collecting all of that evidence, and that evidence stays in my custody.
Other than collecting evidence at the scene itself, did you collect evidence in other places pursuant to search warrants?
Yes.
Go ahead and explain to the jury the different places that you went to, just to kind of give them an overview before we get into it.
I was asked to collect evidence at the initial scene at the church. I was then later asked to collect evidence out of a prop truck that was nearby, and then at an even later date asked to assist with a search warrant at an office in Albuquerque.
Can I have the Elmo? Let's maybe start that way. And the office in Albuquerque that you were asked to participate in a search of, what office was that?
That was a PDQ warehouse.
And do you know now what PDQ is?
Yes, it's a prop supply company.
And that's in Albuquerque?
Yes.
Did you search and take your photographs at PDQ in Albuquerque on the same day as this incident?
No.
On the 21st of October?
No.
Do you recall approximately when you did the search warrant at PDQ?
November 30th.
And the search warrant that was executed on that prop truck, do you recall when you participated in that?
October 27th.
I'm going to show you what's already been admitted as State's Exhibit 7. Let's see if I need to adjust.